think given the struggles scoring the ball, particularly early in the series, there's a trade-off. There's always a trade-off. You could say, play a center. We couldn't score, so there's a trade-off to everything.
So ever since the Lakers were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs in 5 games to the Timberwolves, it has started a lot of polarizing debates in regards to the job JJ Redick has done. And it's either one or two sides. The first one being that JJ Redick had no excuses. You got LeBron James and Luka Doncic, 2 of the top players in the NBA. You finished 3rd in the West. You are supposed to make a championship run. And when JJ was first hired, he mentioned that he knows he's here for a championship. That's what the Lakers do. On the other side, you have people who say, hey, Luka Doncic being on the team, this was supposed to be a rebuild for the future. Nobody expected them to be this good. They actually overachieved. And then on top of that, they didn't have the roster that they needed. The Mark Williams trade didn't go through to get the center that they wanted to pair with a Luka Doncic. So them losing to the Timberwolves in 5 is not really his fault. But let's react to some clips from ESPN and TNT talking about the job JJ has done, starting with Kendrick Perkins.
Well, it's not a hot take, Molly. It's a real take. Okay. He's the reason that the Lakers lost this series. Okay, did JJ Redick make any adjustments in this series to adjust to the Minnesota Timberwolves? No. To the size, the athleticism, the length? No, absolutely not. He was stuck in his ways and harped on playing this small ball lineup.
This is why I started off with the JJ Redick clip in the beginning, because there's a philosophical difference going on here where JJ's looking at it like, yo, we gotta score, man. That is his main focus, and he believes any other adjustment is not gonna work at all because scoring is their number one priority. Whereas Kendrick Perkins, I think he's looking at the totality of everything, not just scoring, but defensively, how you're struggling, you're rebounding, just not the offensive side of the ball. And I could understand why JJ's main concerns lie there. The Minnesota Timberwolves are a really solid defensive team, especially with Anthony Edwards, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels. All 3 of those guys could put pressure on the ball handler, put pressure on somebody dribbling up the court. Perimeter defense just could make it a nightmare for a guy like Luka Doncic. But here's the thing. If you really study the game of basketball and you look at previous eras and things of that nature, when somebody was struggling offensively, it was never the thought to just go to a super small lineup to the point where you have no center, nobody 6'9", 6'10" on the court, and you're just going to go with a very small lineup. That's kind of a new age way of thinking with the game, and they say this is what it evolved into. Well, here's also the consequences to it when somebody like Rudy Gobert, who's considered a limited offensive player, almost goes for 30 points in a playoff closeout game that gets you eliminated from the playoffs, which gets into the next clips about JJ's defensive strategies. Let's continue, and then I got some ones from TNT coming too.
When I look at what JJ did defensively, the 2-3 zone, the trapping of Anthony Edwards, he started the series off doing that. It didn't work.
That's scheme. You know why they led to that many offensive rebounds, right? Because they were blitzing Anthony Edwards. They were blitzing.
The hockey assist,
and the long threes, he got a lot of those threes.
The perfect example of that was what happened with the 1:45 mark right before the first half. They blitz Anthony Edwards, he kicks it to DiVincenzo, and then they lob it into Rudy Gobert. That's a prime example of why that opportunity was there.
Look, I'm not going to act like the reason why Rudy Gobert had the game that he did for the Minnesota Timberwolves to close out the Lakers was because he was Shaq on the block or Tim Duncan. However, because of the small ball lineup, as we already addressed, and then the defensive strategy, which was blitz Anthony Edwards, and then you make the extra pass and Rudy's open down low. Yeah, he did get a lot of easy baskets for him to have the game that he did. And a lot of times the Timberwolves didn't always look for him. There's many plays throughout this series and really the whole regular season where they're either blitzing Anthony Edwards or Julius Randle, and you clearly see that Rudy has his hands up in the air like, yo, I'm open, throw the ball to me, and he doesn't really get it for whatever reason. Maybe they don't trust him that much with the ball coordination, finishing around the rim. This game, they were really looking for him, and I think that was due to the fact that he was getting so much offensive rebounds and finishing. That's very key for a big man. Once your teammates see that you're getting the ball yourself and finishing, now they're going to be like, you know what? Let's just actually throw it to him instead of waiting for him to get an offensive rebound.
He didn't really play his bench a lot. He played 3 guys off the bench. See, that's what I don't understand. He played a guy who hadn't played since January.
Maxi Kleber.
He hadn't played since January. And so he really telling those other guys on the bench they suck. That's all he's saying.
Yeah, Maxi Kleber was another head scratcher for me. At one point, the commentator said that he didn't even practice with the Lakers at all. Like, he was literally fresh off an injury. When it comes to scoring, since JJ highlighted that, I would think Shake Milton would be a better option. Just strictly off potential, we need a basket. All right, Maxi Kleber to me is more reliable and consistent when he's actually healthy and in the flow of things. However, if you're that desperate, I would just go with Shake Milton instead. You're in a closeout game. This is somebody who hasn't practiced at all regular season. In the playoffs, man, it's a little bit too dicey. Gabe Vincent played 26 minutes. He didn't give you anything there. So that's not really JJ's fault. He gave him the minutes. He just didn't really produce. Even Dalton Knecht would have been a better option instead of Maxi Kleber, in my opinion. I would have put him over Shake Milton if he had more experience in the NBA. He's still a rookie, and I think that was probably a reason why JJ wouldn't go with them. But again, I would still put him, Shake Milton, if you're really just looking for some type of offense.
My fear for the Lakers, what I said, they believe their best lineup is when LeBron James is at the 4. And I don't think he can guard Julius Randle or guys that way. I think his superpower, I was saying, when he's at the 3.
As we come towards the end here, I really wanted to share this Kenny clip since his issue with the small ball lineup had nothing to do with Rudy Gobert. He was actually looking at LeBron James as a 40-year-old man trying to guard more athletic, powerful power forwards. I would only say the flip to that would be if you're trying to guard a 3, they may be more quicker, right? Not to say LeBron James has really lost a step, but that would be the other side of it. But I understand what Kenny is saying. And overall, LeBron James, while he is a good defender, he's not quite the one that he once was in his prime. As a result, there is more instances where you can see teams trying to pick on him, and it results in more plays where Luka Doncic and him could look like defensive liabilities at the same time. I'm gonna leave things here, and I'm gonna also leave you with a clip at the end of this video, a very short one that's gonna sum up everything that I'm trying to convey here with this question. Do you believe, and let me know in the comment section, that JJ needs to be held more accountable for the decisions he made, or is this a roster issue where JJ did everything he could given the limitations of the roster? Let me know in the comment section. If you're asking me, I'm more looking at the decisions JJ did more so than the roster. I think if you got LeBron and Luka, you got to figure it out. All right, here's the last clip for y'all. Let me know. Peace.
So get used to this, because when you have players of that caliber, it's championship or bust. So
when they were already undermanned in all the ways Stephen A. just spoke about.
How were they undermanned, Jay? Tell me how they were undermanned.